What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Chili Wolfpack Podcast, Talk About It Tuesday edition. I'm your host, Ian Wolf. We're continuing our series going through the book Every Thought Captive by Pastor Kyle Idleman. And the topic for today's discussion is Our Thoughts Guide Our Goals. So I'll be giving you a story about James Nesmith, a former United States Air Force pilot who was in the Vietnam War, a prisoner of war. And then we'll be going through our 4 reflection questions. I'll provide my personal answers to these questions, and in the description below will be the 4 questions. Highly encourage you guys to reflect upon these questions, maybe write them out, maybe talk with someone about it. Let's get into it. So the story goes here. James Nesmith, a United States Air Force pilot, was held as a prisoner of war in Vietnam for 7 years. He was an average golfer before he was captured, usually shooting in the mid-90s, which I would be thrilled with. But during his 7-year imprisonment, when he was in solitary confinement, he passed the time and maintained his sanity by visualizing himself playing golf at his favorite golf course. Nearly every day for those 7 years, Nesmith would play in his mind a full 18 holes on that course that he knew so well. Nesmith would think through all the details, the clubs he would use, the smell of the grass and the flight of the ball. Sometimes he would spend 4 hours thinking about playing these 18 holes. When he was finally released, he returned home and went to that golf course. Despite not having played golf for 7 years, he shot a 74, better than his best score before he was captured. So let that sink in. Before he was captured as a prisoner of war in the Vietnam War, he averaged his average score was in the 90s for an 18-hole game of golf. And then he went 7 years not playing golf. Probably 7 years not even being physically fit because he was in solitary confinement. But his first game back after 7 years of not playing, he shoots a 74, blowing his previous record out of the water. The moral of the story is that the thoughts we think are always taking us somewhere. They can get us closer to our goals, or they can move us in the opposite direction. The Apostle Paul understood the power of this dynamic when he wrote in Philippians chapter 3 that he was intentionally not thinking about what was in his past, but instead thinking about what lies ahead. That's a very, very powerful story. When I played baseball, oftentimes either before an at-bat or on my own time, maybe even before I went to bed at night, I would visualize standing in the batter's box, and I would visualize both right-handed and left-handed pitchers, and I would visualize the feel of my bat in my hand, and I would visualize what pitches were coming. I would see the pitch as it comes closer and closer to me. I'd see it out the hand. I'd see a fastball, a breaking ball, a changeup, every pitch. I would oftentimes, if I knew what field I was playing on, maybe it was a dirt field one game, maybe it was a turf field, causing me to wear different shoes, because on dirt, I'm going to wear metal spikes, and on turf, I might wear molded spikes or turf shoes. I would visualize the feel of the shoes on my feet and the feel of the surface beneath my cleats. Every little detail. There were times where I had never played on a particular field, but I would look up a picture on Google, and I would really focus on the backdrop behind the pitcher. So like where the scoreboard is, how the fence looked, maybe there were trees or buildings. And then when I went into my visualization practice, I would visualize facing a pitcher with that exact backdrop. And that's essentially what James Nesmith was doing, but even to greater detail, because it talked about how he thought about the smells and the different types of clubs he would use. And that's a very powerful example of how visualization can improve your performance. It's not just about the physical reps of, if you're a golf player, I need to go to the links and shoot more. If I'm a baseball player, I need to get to the cages and do more tee work or do more drills. If I'm a basketball player, I need to get up more shots. Whatever it is that you're doing, yes, those physical reps are essential, but the mental reps are also very, very essential too if you want to take your performance to the next level. And just in general, even if you're not an athlete, moral of the story is our thoughts guide our goals. So I'm going to try to get through these 4 questions really quick here. And again, these 4 questions will be in the description below for your own personal use. So question number 1, what are my most important goals right now? And I said preferably make 6 figures, 6+ figures, make good money, and be able to afford my own place because I'm not living in my own place right now. Figure out a career, and that career would be a career that I enjoy, a career that has purpose and meaning and benefits society. Solid money, and also a little bit of flexibility with my time. Now, that's asking for an awful lot there. Those are 4 boxes to check off. I understand that a majority of people don't get to check off all 4 of those boxes, and if that's not the Lord's plan for me, I completely understand. But that is something that I'm striving to be able to achieve in the future. And I'd say the most important thing, aside from career or money, the most important thing I wrote on what are my most important goals right now, it's actually creating better relationships. So friendships and being discipling others, different types of relationships, I've come to realize are immaculately important, because you can have all the money, you can have all the success, you can have your dream house or your dream car, you can have that. But if you have shallow relationships or a lack of relationships, meaningful, intimate relationships, whether it's friends, family, partner, acquaintances, does that money or success really mean a whole lot? No, because it's not going to last. It's okay to want to be wealthy. It's okay to want to be successful, but that can't be the number 1 priority. And that's something that I've had to realize because I didn't always realize it. Question number 2, how often do I think about them? So how often do I think about my goals? I wrote almost every waking second, almost to the point where there's times I stress too much about it because I am thinking about my goals. And that's both, there's good and bad to that, because if I'm not thinking about my goals and my aspirations whatsoever, there's no way that those are going to be achieved, because energy is not being put forth to that. But there's times where I psych myself out too much. So it's just about finding that right balance. Question number 3, when I think about these goals, do I focus more on the obstacles or on the desired outcome? And I'd say desired outcome. I think about the obstacles. Obstacles as in the things that could be in your way to achieve those, the challenges that will arise as you're striving for something. On the fly, trying to think of a practical example, for instance. So just because I can relate to this so well, if you're an athlete, let's say you're striving to be a better high school athlete. Maybe you want to get recruited to go to college. Maybe you want to get drafted and go to the league. Some potential obstacles would be injury, would be other people being better than you, would be again, off the jiffy, that's all I can think of, but there's plenty of other obstacles that could interfere with those plans, things that could be out of your control. Keep those in mind, but that should not be the number 1 thing you're focusing on. The number 1 thing should be your goals and your plan of action to get there. And question number 4, do I pray about my goals to make sure my thoughts are aligned with what God wants for my life? So this is asking, are you trying to do this on your own, or do you pray to the Lord about it? Lord, these are my goals. Reveal to me where my heart is at. Reveal to me the goals that I have. Are these goals pleasing to you? If I were to continue down this road of trying to achieve these goals that I have, whether it's to make more money or get a promotion or find a new job or find a different place to live or whatever it could possibly be, are these goals in line with your desire for me, or is this not what's best for me and you have something better? My response to this is every stinking day. I pray about it all the time. I see God move me step by step and phase by phase. It's not just from point A to point B, or from, I should say, more from the start line to the finish line. It's bit by bit. It's literally like brick by brick is the way that I have seen the Lord move me in at least the last handful of years. And as I reflect on it, it's been that way my entire life, but that wasn't even a secondary thought in my mind when I was younger and not following the Lord. Um, and it's very subtly. So oftentimes the Lord is moving me and progress is being made in my life. I'm improving, I'm evolving, but I may not even see that until I've moved 7 steps down the road. Like, I may not see every single step or every single brick. Boom, boom. I may not see that jump. I may not see the next 2 jumps, but I might see it after I've leapfrogged, 5 phases, if you will. And that could be even sort of a 2-dimensional way to look at it. It could be a lot more round and broad, but understand what I'm saying is that things don't just happen immediately. It's a process. And there's a song by Connor Price, and there's another music artist. Can't think of the name, but Connor Price, and it's called Overnight. Overnight by Connor Price. And the main line of the song is, it was like, they thought that it happened overnight, but it didn't. They thought that it happened overnight, but it didn't. Something like that. And then there's another line that talks about like sacrifice and being committed. But I think that's incredible because even if you look to some of the most successful people, that did not happen overnight. It could have taken years, if not over a decade. So our thoughts guide our goals. Refer to Philippians chapter 3, and there's plenty of other references that within Scripture that you can refer to. Guys, there you have it on Talk About It Tuesday of the Chili Wolf Pack podcast. I'm your host, Ian Wolf. If you guys enjoyed this, then be sure to hit the follow button and turn on the notification bell at the top of the page so you'll be notified for every single episode. We're rolling out episodes every Tuesday and Wednesday, and the Chili Wolf Pack podcast is looking to collaborate with some amazing people like you, so we can talk the talk and get out bonus episodes. Thank you guys so much for listening, and God bless.